Hello and welcome to week 6 here in research methods, and hopping right along, halfway point. Well, after this week, it's somewhat of the halfway point. Don't worry, I probably just stressed a whole bunch of people out. Anyway, I just did the trek across Maine. Pretty tired. 3 days of bike riding. 1 day in torrential rain. It's been fun the last few times that I did the trek and it was raining. It was not fun this time. At my age, I don't like riding in the rain. So, anyway, on to week 6. Week 6, we're taking on 2 chapters. Chapter 4, going back a little bit, and then chapter 6. Now, in chapter 4, we're looking at summarizing and interpreting data. In the chapter 4 discussion, I want you to think about the statistical test that you are most likely to use when you do your study and explain why. So you're sharing that information. Now, to TJ, you are going to be doing descriptive research. We had a discussion about the fact that you were not going to be doing statistics. So your test is about descriptive statistics, which is the next chapter, chapter 6. We'll talk about that a little bit, so you don't worry about the test per se. Everybody else is going to be doing some stats. You're going to be looking for significance. You're going to be, the study that TJ is doing is going to be looking at comparing data, just comparing data and differences between data. So, now, in the quiz, what you're going to be doing is based on the article you are replicating, the chief article that you got most of your stuff with. I'm asking you to provide both descriptive and summative data, the null and alternative hypothesis from that original study, and the process by which significance was addressed. That may include they didn't address it. Now, if they didn't find something significant, they still addressed it. They had said there was not a statistically significant result. Or maybe they said, well, it wasn't statistically significant, but we think it's important, which, some people think that that's kind of a cop-out. Or maybe this is the statistically significant results that we got, and these are the non-statistically significant results that we got. It might have been very clear about that. So you're basically spending a bit of time first talking about the statistics that you're most likely to use, for many of you replicating from your original study, and then going into that original study and giving me some information about that study, including the descriptive and summative data, the null and alternative hypothesis, and how they went about addressing significance. We then skip over 5 because we've already done that. Chapter 6 being descriptive research, what TJ is going to be doing. I want you in the discussion to look for an example of descriptive research. Even if you already have one, I want you to look one. What you want to do is go into EBSCO and you want to type in psychology descriptive research. See what happens. Go into Google Scholar, psychology descriptive research. There's a lot of descriptive research that's going on where they're just looking at data. This is what we see. What does it mean? More research to come, that kind of thing. In the assessment this time, I want you to, this is going to be a little bit about demonstrating your ability, again, to do some things in APA style. Based on your article you are replicating, you're going to summarize their descriptive statistics in text, and you're going to create APA tables. And there is a video right in the course book on how to create APA tables. I'm going to be looking for you to get this down so that you can do it in your next. And the cool thing is, if you do it, if you can perfectly format a table, it'll look pretty big on your page. It'll be right to the ends. You don't have to make them smaller. You can make big tables. Make a big table, save that file as like APA table, and whenever you want one, you go and copy it and paste it into your document, and then just add your data. It's as simple as that. This is really, and I know people are not using Microsoft Word. Microsoft Word is actually really good at this. And the video has to do with Microsoft Word, so this is a chance for you to learn how to make a table in Microsoft Word. In the descriptions, you're going to cite evidence, and you're going to cite evidence at first. You're going to cite evidence of this data, the descriptive data, used to describe limitations in the study. Meaning, let's say they looked at their data and it was predominantly women that participated in the study. That would be part of the descriptive statistics. And then later on, they would say, well, if you look at our descriptive statistics, you'll see that it was primarily done by women, so there wasn't a representative sample of men, so that's a limitation of the application of this particular study. You see they're using the descriptive data to say why this study is not perfect. I want you to quote these statements. Now, I'm totally against using quotes in your papers, but you use quotes. I want you to quote these statements in this assignment when they talked about limitations of their study based on their descriptive data. And you're going to cite them in text. You're going to cite them author, comma, date, year. In text, and you're going to have a references page with that one article in it, in APA format, references at the top, just like you've been doing in your final papers. Then I want you to have a little essay before the references. Okay, the references are always the last page, but there's a little section here about what do you predict will be similar or related limitations on your study when you do it. So basically, you're getting an idea of how this paper that you're replicating attempted to have a good representative sample. They provide you details about their sample of people, how they talked about the limitations because their sample was not perfect. This is something you are going to have to do when you're at the end of your study. When you're in your discussion section at the end, you're going to have to describe limitations of your study. And you're going to do the same thing. You're going to look at statistics that you gathered about your sample. Maybe it's a small number. Maybe it's not representative in some way. Maybe it's all just one age group or whatever. And those were unintentional aspects of your sampling. You have to talk about those as limitations in your study. So you're basically looking at this paper, doing a deep dive into the paper that you're replicating and coming up with this information. And then, so the last part is you coming up, just a little essay, because you don't have your sample yet, so you can't really describe your limitations yet, but predict what may be your limitations. Then, at this point, the special assignment that's lining up as you're making your way through those, this one is the sampling plan, which you talked about last week. You're sampling, how you sample is going to create the limitations that you identify in your sample that you're going to discuss in your discussion segment. It's all connected. All of this stuff is connected. So just try to keep the threads between this information all connected here. So in review, Chapter 4, the discussion and quiz. Chapter 6, a discussion and assignment. Now continue going along. Those of you who have passed that first assignment know how quickly we're making our way through the next ones. People are moving ahead in those. This first one is the toughest one. Then the last one's going to be a tough one because you're going to have to come up with your conclusions and your discussion. And there might be some revisions there before you hand in your final, before the final. All right, so keep the faith. You are all on track. There are some people I'm waiting for revisions right now. So see if you can get them in. And what I would like you to do, if you could please get them in early this week because I will be going on a little mini vacation on Thursday. I will be gone from Thursday through the weekend, coming back on Sunday, and I will not be having my computer with me. I will have my phone, and so I will still respond to emails that you send to me, but I will not be able to access the course. So I'll be spending the time this few days here going through the grading from last week, and please get some of those revisions in. There's just a few of you that are ready to move on, pretty ready to move, a couple more revisions, maybe one more revision, and you're ready to move on to part 2. And some of you are on part 2 and part 3 and part 4. And so this is staggered a little bit in terms of how people are progressing through, but that's fine. Let's see if we can get at least your next phase, get everybody out of part 1 and into a very quickly evolving 2, 3, and 4 before we get into actually doing your study, which will be what's going to happen after that. And we have half the semester to get that done. So don't worry about the timeline. So be well, get outside, get some air. It's beautiful. There was rain this weekend. Now that's beautiful. Would have been nice to have that on Saturday. But get outside, be well, take care of yourself. Send me an email if you have any issues, and I will see you next time. Take care.